About your featuring Playboy article as one of the top 20 professors in the nation, how do you feel about being featured in Playboy?
Well, I definitely have mixed feelings about it. As a magazine, I've actually never purchased. But if they're going to highlight, different teaching styles and things, I'm certainly all for it. And what I hope it means is that this really makes the old statement true that you buy Playboy for the articles.
Yes. Did they actually ever contact you for an interview, or did they just write the piece on you?
They didn't. It was done purely third party. I think I know who it was. There was a student in one of my classes who was doing an internship there.
Mm-hmm.
But we never did anything about it. They just wrote it up.
How have your colleagues, family or friends responded to you appearing in Playboy?
Well, I think appearing may be too strong a word since there was text about my teaching, no photograph, no anything else. So no, there hasn't been any reaction I've gotten as of yet. I expect this article may change that, however.
Do you feel people respond to you differently after this, like you just said, that it might change how people respond to you?
I hope not. I mean, I hope it just gets kind of a good snicker. I do know that Playboy has done articles on real topics as well as being a glorified girly magazine. But I'm certainly hoping that what they were getting at was just highlighting some different teaching styles at universities and also different topics. I do know that they had a range of different areas. It wasn't all faculty in sciences or humanities. They had some conservative thinkers like Glenn Lowry at Boston University. They had a professor of winemaking at UC Davis. They had a professor of essentially intelligent music design from MIT. And so they seemed like they were sampling from interesting topical areas more than anything.
Yeah, would you say this is good publicity then for higher education and for people carrying out their research in a variety of topics that might not always get as much support as they need?
Well, certainly faculty aren't going to go publish articles in Playboy. It's definitely not the peer-reviewed journal of choice. But if it brings attention to interesting approaches, and certainly energy is one of those interesting areas, then I hope that the association with the sexist aspect of Playboy is secondary. I mean, Playboy has had its centerfold issue for decades. I'm hoping that this, again, separate from that, really just highlights some interesting teaching areas that are going on.
Do you feel Playboy can do more to promote awareness of environmental issues? I know you're a professor, very interested in.
Well, it's not a go-to magazine for me in terms of articles. So I'd be surprised. I mean, if Playboy's clientele is young, middle-aged, and elder men primarily, my suspicion is that that's not the most effective means to talk about environment and education issues. But if what it does do is to bring to a community that doesn't normally read a lot of material on, there are new topics out there, not just the old style disciplines, physics, chemistry, English, but that energy is a real field. Separate from the pictures in Playboy, I'm hoping that happens.
So, one of the PR people at Playboy expressed the fact they're trying to bring a broader range of stuff into the magazine to interest their readers. And so if you were ever asked to contribute to the magazine, would you? And if you did, what would you write for them?
I've never been asked. I haven't thought about it. It certainly isn't a place where I would write articles, given right now. I mean, it's not on my radar screen at all in terms of my work. Again, it's an entertainment magazine, largely directed towards men. And when we look, for example, at interest and activism on environmental issues, among college students and adults, more women are active. The number of graduate students in environmental studies programs in the U.S., there's more women than men in them. Yeah. That contrasts to a lot of traditional areas in engineering where there's many more men. Yeah. So given that added interest on the part of women, my suspicion is that Playboy would not be a place where I would go. And again, I didn't know they were doing this article until I saw it in print, so it definitely isn't something that I was thinking about.
What was your first reaction when you saw it in print?
Well, they sent me a copy and I had to laugh because it's not something I was aware of. I've published in some interesting journals, not like Playboy. I've published in trade papers in East Africa, because that's where people who are buying solar panels look at things, or the trade journals in the charcoal field, because we're looking at environmental impacts. So I'm certainly familiar with unusual places, but definitely Playboy is out of the range of places I had looked before.
Finally, I don't know if you've heard, but there's a student at Berkeley, a senior girl who's in the philosophy department, has decided to pose for Playboy in the same edition that you're featured in, like in the not I know you're in an article, but as for the photo she's posed for the girls of the Pac-10. Do you think girls from Berkeley posing for those sort of photos adds or diminishes from the school's reputation?
Well, it's hard to imagine it benefits it. I wasn't aware of that until you told me. I mean, no matter what one says about opportunities and things, magazines like this have an exploitative air about them. And so I would be surprised if getting women from Berkeley to pose in Playboy enhanced the school in any way. But it's certainly not the image I have of college students in terms of going to pose for this magazine, however attractive it might be.
Do you think